This podcast is brought to you by Wise, the app for international people using money around the globe. With Wise, you can send, spend, and receive up to 40 currencies and save up to 55% compared to major banks. Plus, Wise won't add hidden fees to your transfer. So whether you're buying souvenirs with pesos in Puerto Vallarta or spending euros to tip your Colosseum tour guide, you know you're getting a fair exchange rate with no extra markups. Join the 15 million customers who choose Wise. Download the Wise app today or visit wise.com/US/compare to learn more. T's and C's apply. Musicians in our city are facing new challenges this year, thanks to changes to the federal health insurance marketplace that so many rely on. Enter Ham Day, the largest single-day music festival in the world, and it's happening all over the city right now. Y'all, with all the shit going down these days, we need to keep Austin music alive. So today on CityCast Austin, it's your guide to Ham Day. It's Tuesday, September 23rd. I'm Nikki Devon, and this is what Austin's talking about. Hello, I am here today with Paul Scott, CEO of HAM, which is Health Alliance for Austin Musicians. Hi, Paul. Thank you for being here.
Good morning, Nikki. Glad to be here.
I am so excited. HAM is one of my favorite organizations, and Ham Day is one of my favorite things to do in the city. Based on the size of Austin's musician community, do you think that Austin is still the music capital of the world?
I think in many ways, yes, we are. I think particularly for live music, we're seeing shifts in kind of how we're experiencing live music in the community. I know I moved down further south in Austin, and there's so many venues down there in South Austin and new ones coming up. So I definitely see that the live music is definitely thriving still. I know some challenges like in the downtown area with development and some other areas, but look at what's happening in East Austin as well. And then we're also seeing great expansion up into Round Rock, Cedar Park, and then, of course, across the Central Texas region, which is why we're really expanding Ham Day now to be across Central Texas, not just the Austin area, because music is so critical to the entire economy of our area.
I'm glad that you are bringing up our surrounding areas because there are a lot of Austinites that can no longer afford to live in Austin proper, like in the heart of the city. And so we have a lot of musicians for sure that have moved out into like Round Rock, Pflugerville, like surrounding areas. And then I'm seeing all of these places pop up like that. I feel like maybe we're there before, but I wasn't hearing about them as much. But now they're on the map, and I love this. So you're CEO of HAM, and again, people listening, that's Health Alliance for Austin Musicians, and it helps musicians access healthcare. But it almost seems like HAM is like a de facto union for Austin musicians. It's really interesting. So will you just talk a bit about what HAM is and what you guys do and how you help our Austin musicians?
Yeah, thank you, Nikki. Yes, we've evolved over the 20 years that HAM has been established. We were established in 2005, so it's both the 20th anniversary of HAM as well as our Ham Day Music Festival this year. And so, additionally, yes, we were formed in order to address the health needs of musicians because there was no access to health care, health insurance, because in our country, obviously, most health insurance is through the workplace, and our musicians are sole practitioners and have their own business. And so they don't have access to that health care. So we came in and started providing access to charitable health care with a partnership with Ascension Seton. And then when the Affordable Care Act came into place, we were able to expand into providing comprehensive health insurance coverage for folks. And on top of that, for the 20 years, we've also been providing access to dental care as well for many of our musicians, music teachers, DJs. And we've added on over the years hearing services, vocal services, vision services. And then I think the pandemic really, really showed the struggle that our musicians have with affordability. And so we kind of moved into support for basic needs such as food, prescription support. And we've kept that going after the pandemic because it really was a need that we should have realized needed to be addressed earlier in the game. And so now that's part of our core mission as well.
Well, I didn't know that you guys had open things up like that. That's awesome. And also, I guess I didn't know that you also supported teachers, music teachers, and DJs. That's great. I had no idea. I thought it was strictly just musicians.
No, yeah, we want to put it out there for sure. Because I think, the one thing we always encourage people is don't self-select out when it comes to being a HAM member. I was talking to a musician last week who said, well, I don't need health insurance because I have it through my parents. And I said, well, we have other services like we just detailed.
Yeah.
You could be a HAM member and still get access to dental and vision and all these other services we provide. So we always ask a musician, please don't self-select out. Go to our website, find out how to become a member and contact us. And we'll make sure to, if you qualify, we'll get you into those services.
That's awesome. So, okay, some major recent national policy changes, including the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, could lead to like millions of people losing their marketplace coverage. How is HAM preparing to shore up these gaps? What impact, if at all, do y'all anticipate that this will have on our local musicians and how they are accessing healthcare?
Yeah, this is the most significant impact on our musicians coming up in 2026, for sure. Without getting into the complexities of the Affordable Care Act, essentially, we're going to see a significant rise in premiums because of changes at the federal level. And so, for example, we expect on average, like an individual premium to go up 76 to 100%.
Wow.
And then listen to this. For a family of four, on average, we're expecting it to go from like $800 a month to $3,200 a month.
Shit. Oh, my God.
Yeah. And so
Paul,
that's
holy shit.
That's really going to be hard for many of our musicians. And so we are actively finding revenue and resources to help keep the program the status quo. We have a great partnership with Central Health for many of our musicians that access at the lower income musicians can access their program for premium assistance that we participate in. So we expect that to be okay, but we have about 2,200 musicians, however, that we're going to raise up to $1 million more for next year to keep them in health insurance.
Holy shit.
Yeah,
that
big.
is. Oh my God, that makes my head hurt a little bit. And what other ways are the needs of Austin musicians different maybe from the needs in other cities? Because I brought this up earlier kind of briefly, but it's very expensive to live here. And so like, what are some of the other needs that you're seeing the Austin musicians have that are kind of unique to this city?
Well, I think the affordability is going to be the key one, obviously.
Yeah.
But many of our musicians persevere and are still living in Travis County, at least of our membership. So I think roughly about 89% of our musicians are still living in Travis County. But
Okay.
we are seeing more musicians moving into Hayes County, Williamson County. We're also seeing, fortunately, that's improving and kind of enhancing their music scene there as well. And so with Ham Day Festival this year, for example, we're expanding into Lockhart, up into Round Rock and Cedar Park. And those folks up there see what's happening with musicians now being in their communities and seeing more live music venues coming up in there. And so they're wanting to be part of this and celebrating kind of the live music culture and what it means for not only Austin, but for the surrounding communities. But I think for our musicians, that affordability is going to be key. I think there's still some concerns about the pay rate for musicians. There was an article several years ago, Marsha Ball was talking about how like in 40 years, the pay rate really hasn't changed much.
Which is insanity.
Yeah. And so that's something we advocate for. And so anytime someone comes to us saying, hey, can you help us book something? We say, yes, but you need to pay them a fair wage.
Hey y'all, it's Nikki. There's still time to see the Jaws exhibit at the LBJ Presidential Library, but you need to do it now. In case you've forgotten, before he wrote Jaws, Peter Benchley was President Johnson's speechwriter, and this exhibit is about the journey of Benchley from White House speechwriter to best-selling novelist to devoted conservationist. It explores the shared environmental legacy of the Johnsons and Benchley, the cultural tidal wave sparked by Jaws, and how the story that terrified moviegoers also reshaped our understanding of sharks. Plus, this year is the 50th anniversary of Jaws' release, and it's the perfect way to end your summer. So see it before it leaves on October 19th. Don't miss this fascinating look at the story behind the shark that changed everything. Head on over to lbjlibrary.org for more info.
Learning a new language opens the door to new friends, new cultures, maybe even a whole new life. So why not start that journey today? I'm CityCast CEO David Plotz, and I'm learning Spanish with Babbel. Babbel's conversation-based technique quickly teaches you useful words and phrases about the things you actually talk about in the real world. I've been practicing my Spanish with Babbel's AI conversation partner. I can choose my conversation topic and have a real-time dialogue. It's great at helping me think on my feet, and it's improving my pronunciation. Also, it's really easy to do anytime on my phone using Babbel's excellent mobile app. It's just one of the many fantastic Babbel tools for learning. Plus, Babbel has a real-time feedback, progress trackers, and handy visualizations, all of which make it really easy to stay motivated to learn. I want you to learn another language. So CityCast is teaming up with Babbel to gift you 55% off subscriptions, but only for our listeners at babbel.com/citycast. Get up to 55% off at babbel.com/citycast. Spelled BABBEL.com/citycast. Babbel.com/citycast. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Now, I know that there was a decision made that a minimum of $200 just to show up for a gig for a musician was considered a fair wage, like for a gig, $200. So like, well, when you work at the city of Austin, for example, if you hire any musician for anything that they need to do for the city, they need to make a minimum of $200. And my question anytime, because I'm also a musician, so anytime someone asks if I want to do a gig or my band wants to do a gig, I have to remind them of several things. One, there are several people in a band. Right. So you can't just give one person $200 and split it between 5 people. And two, like I feel like I always have to remind people, like, yeah, we're getting up there and we're doing this 1-hour gig, but like what you're also getting is just like so much talent, hours of practice, blah, 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 this and that. So, I feel like I'm still having to explain to people why they can't just pay us $100 a piece to come and play a gig for an hour. And so I'm curious what you're hearing is a fair wage.
Well, typically, we're going off the city rate as a baseline.
Yes.
And so I think based upon the experience of the musician and kind of where they are in their careers, encouraging, we usually evaluate that too. If we're making a recommendation to someone that comes to us. I mean, we're not in the booking business, but, people come to us as sometimes the first point of contact. So we encourage people to really understand what it means. Like you just laid it out really well in terms of all the practice that occurs. And what that means for, honoring their time and commitment, as well as, if they have multiple people in the band, making sure that that's, covered for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that $200 for a set per musician, I think is, in my opinion, the bare minimum. But I'm pretty biased. So last year, another foundation that supports local musicians, the Sims Foundation, had to pause its services, providing low cost and free mental health care to Austin musicians for 3 months. One, was there much of an impact on HAM? And do you think that pause in services was felt by Austin musicians?
I think it was critical. I mean, I'm glad that we worked closely with Sims. They reached out to us to make sure that we could communicate with our mutual clients. We have a significant number of musicians that are also clients of Sims. And so we worked closely to make sure that we were staying in contact with those musicians that maybe needed some mental health support and providing resources to them and coordinating that with Sims as they revamped kind of how they provided their services. I think it also allowed us to be able to educate our musicians that did have comprehensive healthcare coverage, that it also provides support for mental health coverage and helping them identify, utilizing their insurance benefits to support counseling and mental health care, which is also what Sims was doing and moving to their new model to making sure leveraging that. So we really worked closely in partnership with Sims to make sure that we were addressing those issues particularly for an emergency basis, that if one was having a crisis or emergency, that they were covered.
Nice. So I don't know if you saw this recently. The city of Austin had something called the People's Party, and they evidently did not pay the fair rate. And I always question when something like this comes up because I feel like, we just got through talking about this. The city is kind of like, if you set the standard at the city, then it's easy for other places to follow. It's easy for venues to follow. If you say the city standard is, blah, 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 like $200. But when the city doesn't make good on that, I think for me, it starts to question once again whether or not our city is taking care of musicians in the best way that it could. How much responsibility do you think our city has in making sure our musicians are okay?
Well, obviously it's a value to the city because they set a fair standard rate at the beginning.
Yeah.
So we know that there is a value that's placed and an understanding. And so I think, I don't know the circumstances of this specific event, if there was some reason why there was a potential justification for that. I don't know. I can't comment. But I think generally, the city has a great role in making sure that we are nurturing our live music capital of the world status. Particularly, I think about as we work with corporations coming into Austin and that are billing this as a key recruitment tool for musicians. I think the city also has a pivotal role in asking those businesses to come in and support this. I mean, they value it. They're encouraging people to move here, particularly young professionals to move into the Austin area. And so put some skin in the game. If you're going to use this as a recruiting tool, we'd love for you to put some skin in the game and support and keeping us the live music capital of the world and supporting an honest and fair wage for our musicians and each of their band members.
I love it. I love that. Speaking of which, we're coming up on the 20th anniversary of Ham Day, like you said. Hundreds of musicians perform at venues all over town to raise money for Ham. And last year's Ham Day brought in more than $850,000, which is dope. And so I first of all, I was just wondering if you could just talk a little bit about Ham Day, because again, I think it's way more involved than me just saying it's dope. And then secondly, like, how does this event raise money? What is Ham Day? Tell us all about it.
Oh gosh, do we have 5 hours? So Ham Day is our 20th year, as you said. So think of it as 5 days of booked music crammed into one day across all of Central Texas. And this year we're embracing what Ham Day has always been, which is really the largest single day music festival in the world because of the breadth of what we're providing. We're looking at providing 250 plus performances with 300 musicians across 100 plus venues. We're in Round Rock, Cedar Park, down in Lockhart. It's up and down like the streets of South Congress and East Austin. We're pretty much everywhere. One thing I'd like to tell people, like, this is the one day where we're celebrating what it means for Austin to have this great live music culture. And it allows us to really raise that awareness about the incredible variety of genres and diversity of musicians that we have in this community and what it brings to the vibrancy of our culture. And so it's just an incredible day of celebrating music and all those that support live music as well. So you can go on our site at myham.org and you can actually go to an interactive map and plan where you hear music, where you can eat, because we have businesses and restaurants that support us. So you can shop, eat, as well as hear music and support musicians all day long. And it starts at 6 a.m. at the HEB as our headquarters on South Congress and Oltorf to about 2 o'clock in the morning the next morning. And it's just a great day to just celebrate the incredible music that we have here in Austin and the incredible musicians that make it happen.
So I'm curious, since everything is predominantly free, how are we helping you raise this money?
Yeah, so I think it's important for people to know that we have great corporate support for Ham Day, which helps kind of provide a lot of the funding up front, so we know what we're dealing with as we go into Ham Day. And so then on that day, we're asking people to, if you value music and you're going to hear a few music, donate. Help us out so that we can support these musicians, particularly as with some of the challenges that we see coming in 2026. We ask people to give generously if they value music. And our goal is to raise $150,000 on that day from individual fundraising. And then we also ask people to frequent these businesses and restaurants that are supporting us as well, because they're giving back part of their proceeds, some of them up to 5% on that day. Some it's that day, some it's that week, or some people, some there's like it's a month. And so we ask you to support those businesses and know that when you're going out to eat on a Tuesday night before you go to a showcase, say at Central Machine Works, you are totally giving back to the live music culture and to helping our musicians, making sure that they stay healthy and staying here in Austin and we don't lose them in our community.
Yeah.
So we ask people to just enjoy it and support us and realize that every dollar that you give to us, we translate that into $7 of healthcare coming back into the community.
Wow.
So we pulled in, with every dollar that's come in over the 20 years, we have pulled in over $215 million worth of healthcare for our musicians over the 20 years. That is an incredible leverage point about how people can use their dollars and impact the health of our musicians.
I just got home from a vacation, and though I had a great time, all I could think about was getting back to my bed. Because in my bed, there's no tossing and turning. I have all the pillows I need, and I have my favorite set of Cozy Earth sheets, which keep me comfortable all throughout the night. Now, y'all have heard me talk about these before, but you have got to try them. It's risk-free because they have a 100-night sleep trial. So honestly, if you don't like them, you can send them back. But if you do like them, and I think you might, you will get a 10-year warranty, so you can enjoy them for a long, long time. So head on over to CozyEarth.com and of course use my code CozyAustin for 40% off. And if you get a post-purchase survey, make sure you let them know that you heard it from me. Because your bed should be more than a place to sleep. It should be your happy place. Cozy Earth makes that possible. So, okay, you mentioned Central Machine Works, which is one of my favorite places in the city and where we are going to have our neighbors event here on CityCast Austin. And I know personally, I go onto your interactive map every year and I just figure out how I'm going to hop around the city because I love an interactive map to tell me where to go. But are there any places kind of like off the beaten path that you think, all right, girl, you need to go to this place. You have to go there, because I admittedly will stick to places that I just know because I'm a creature of habit. But is there anything off of the beaten path that you think people should know about?
I think one of these, that we have a first time we're going to be at Stubbs, inside at Stubbs this year. So we were really lucky and working with them for them to provide their venue to us for the day. So we were able to program music there. So that would just be kind of a new thing to check out on the Red River District area. So that's fun. I think also just reminding people, in the evening, we have a great jazz marathon at the Elephant Room. Get there early because sometimes there's a wait time at the door for sure. And then also if you're kind of outside of Austin and head down to Lockhart and kind of hear some music down there and visit kind of the businesses that are supporting us. And then kind of, I won't say off the beaten track necessarily for music, but I would say something that is kind of important for people to realize is like Favor is back in and their support. So they're giving $1 off of all deliveries on September 23rd. And so that's a significant give back. So if you're delivering food, use Favor and it goes back to helping musicians.
And also a lot of bars nowadays, a lot of places, a lot of venues will allow you to have food delivered to where you are. So if you happen to be somewhere that is not serving food, you can have it delivered with Favor.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. Bars will allow you to do that.
Also, just a fun one is Primo the Alien is going to be at the new Waterloo store on North Lamar. So check out the new Waterloo store. John Kuntz, who's one of our founders, he's kind of the co-owner of that now, and they moved that to that new location. And then also we love Primo the Alien as well.
Man, okay, so I have not been to the new Waterloo location. I'm excited to go check it out. So I'm curious what kind of people that you see at Ham Day events. Is it the same people that come out and support musicians year round, or do you get a lot of like newbies or people are like, I just heard about this and my coworker at work told me about Ham Day. Do you get a lot of newbies still after 20 years?
I think so. This would be my fourth Ham Day, I think, or third Ham Day, and as the CEO here at Ham. And I think what's interesting for me is particularly because we're scheduling music with some of our sponsors at their businesses. And so it's a great employee engagement tool that's being used. We also have apartment complexes that are now booking us for Ham Day. So that as a tenant appreciation. And so it allows people to come out and enjoy music. I think the best part for me, because I am everywhere that day, for sure. So I'm ping-ponging, particularly downtown, around the midday time where I'm going from the Capitol down to other locations across downtown, the Willie Nelson statue. And I'm seeing people at different locations following, sort of cross-checking people as they're going from different venues as well. And they see my tag and they're saying, oh, we love music. We're going to go see it over here. And so you see a lot of people, particularly during the workday, that maybe they don't have time for whatever reason. They don't see music at night, but they're able to experience it. So yeah, we're raising awareness about live music and exposing people to really different types of genres of music in their workplaces. And I think it's a great way to celebrate music, but also raise awareness about how rich and deep our culture of music is here in the Austin area.
Yeah, I think that can't be overlooked. The diversity of music is also really cool. You have a lot of different genres all over the city. That is something I do appreciate about Ham Day, is that you get a little bit of everything.
Oh, exactly.
That's really nice. Yeah.
Yes.
And also for people, like before the job I'm currently in, I definitely worked in an office job. And it was surprising how easy it was to just pop out on my lunch break and hear some music really quick and go back to work. And so I also want to encourage people to do that. Like, you can work it into your day and your evening pretty easily, I think, if you wanted to, if you're into that. I'm just saying. I saw a lot of music on my lunch breaks, a lot for Ham Day.
Oh yeah, because we have music at several of the HEBs across the community as well. So drop in, get your coffee, do some early morning grocery shopping, pick up your lunch for the day, stop and listen to some music while you're shopping, and just realize like, hey, we're so lucky to live in a community where we can have this and experience this in so many different and unique places, and understand what it means for the great contributions our musicians have to the culture of Austin.
Yeah, I agree. So is there anything else we should know about Ham or Ham Day and Austin musicians' health this year? Anything else that we haven't covered that you want to make sure our listeners know about Ham Day?
One thing to know I'd like to mention is we also have a great fundraising tool on the website now too. So if you want to ask your friends to help out and raise money, we have this peer-to-peer fundraising tool. So set up your page, just send out a quick email and ask people to support what you love, music, because guess what? They're going to love it too, and they're going to support it. So maximize your impact and just challenge your friends and family to also support Ham so that we can make sure that we can afford access to, comprehensive health coverage and all the other services we provide to working musicians, DJs, and music teachers in the greater Austin area.
Thank you so much for being here, Paul. I really appreciate you taking the time to bring me up to speed on Ham and Ham Day. I'm so excited. It's one of my favorite things in the city that we do.
Thank you, Dickie.
That's all for today here on CityCast Austin. You can find links to Ham Day in our show notes. And if you enjoyed the show, why not tell a friend that you want to take to Ham Day? Rate our show, leave us a review, of course, subscribe to our Hey Austin newsletter. And just a reminder, if you are really, really loving us, help support us by becoming a neighbor today at membership.citycast.fm. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Bye, y'all.